Let's talk about the inspiration behind the inspiration project.
Yeah. So I was on this thing called the Global Inspiration Tour. I was just traveling the world and speaking, and I got meeting with some guys who are Africans like me, who came from different parts of the continent and were sitting all in a cafe up Madison Avenue, New York. There's 11 of us. All Africans are doing amazing things, and I asked them a question. I said, "When you think about Africa, what do you see?" And so all the images came up: poverty, corruption, corrupt political leaders, financial systems that don't work, it's disease, etc., etc. And I said, but you and I know that's not the continent we come from. We come from an amazing continent with the most amazing innovations and people. And so we thought, how do we create a platform where Africans themselves can have a conversation about the Africa they want to live in and the Africa they're experiencing every single day? And birthed out of that came the Inspiration Project.
Let's talk about these game changers, because I like that word, game changer. It means that it's somebody that's ahead of the curve, somebody that's willing to move against whatever the current trend is. Who are the game changers?
So we've got a couple. There's myself. There's a guy called Sim Shagai who runs a company called Conga.com, the largest online retailer in Nigeria. 2 years has been running it. It's now the largest. It's taken over from the incumbent, which is German-owned, and it's profitable. Good friend of mine, a guy called Patrick Ngowi, who started a solar business in East Africa. He's now operating in East and West Africa. He's the largest in his industry. He's 29. No funding when he started, and his business does 125 million rand revenue. He'll probably double that revenue over the next year. And there's a whole cohort of us in this clique of people who are saying, but guys, this is the continent you and I live in is an amazing continent with amazing opportunities. But we as Africans need to have a conversation about how we make it better. I think a part of the challenge is if you are a South African person, you're often not connected to somebody living in Kenya, Burundi, Tanzania, or Uganda. You're not connected to somebody living in Nigeria, in Guinea-Bissau, in Lagos or whatever. And why we created the Inspiration Project was to say, let's create an ecosystem where we're connected to each other, where we can influence each other, inspire each other, talk about each other's stories. Because we find there's a much closer emotional connection if I listen to somebody from Lagos tell me how he's made it, than listening to somebody from New York tell me how he's made it.
Let's talk about making it and the kind of conversation, because this conversation has to be inspirational too. Talk to me about the language, the dialogue that we need to engage to motivate other people.
So we focus on three main pillars in the Inspiration Project. One is economics. So the event we're having around entrepreneurship drives the economic pillar. We have another one that speaks to leadership. And then we have another one that speaks to what we call social iconoclasts, people who are changing social spaces. And in each of these conversations, we'll have different influencers who are driving that part of the conversation, coming to talk to us about the different things they're doing. So, for instance, we have a young man who used to be part of Médecins Sans Frontières, who now runs a very small biometrics business operating in SADC. He's an amazing young man who trained as a doctor, and he's now changing people's lives every single day using biomedicine, but he's not recognized by the Western world. So a part of the narrative and the language is about Africans saying, we don't need flashy American versions of success to motivate us. We need African versions of success to speak to the realities we come from. If I'm a young entrepreneur today, growing up in Lusikisiki or Kwamashu or Ekono, I can't connect with somebody telling me from Washington, D.C. how they made a couple of $1 million. But I can if someone from Mozambique tells me how he started a small fishing business and today he's worth a couple of $1 million.
And the practical steps that
Absolutely
it took to get there. When are we launching?
So our first event is happening this Saturday. Really excited. We've partnered with Mercedes-Benz who've come on board. That's exciting for us. It's happening this Saturday at Monte Casino. Tickets are available on CompuTicket as we speak. You just search for the Inspiration Project. And then our second event happening in 3 months' time is in Lagos, which I'm equally excited by. After Lagos, we're doing Kampala in Uganda. So it's a complete roadshow of events that are coming and conversations that are happening. But we'll launch this Saturday, and we're really excited by it.
We've got 15 seconds. Why is this discussion so important now? Because I do feel that South Africa is disconnected within itself.
So
Africa.
It's important because we Africans need to have our own definition of success. It can no longer hold that which America defines as success for me, certain suits, certain car, certain lifestyle must be what defines my success. Africans are communal people. You know, for my mother, being a success was the ability to offer our neighbors sugar when they didn't have any sugar, to offer the children next door bread when their parents were often migrant labor and unable to eat. We must have our own definition of success, must be driven by our own conversations about the Africa that we want.
Obviously, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me. Quite inspirational, and we'll be watching this space and to see what we define as Africans in terms of inspiration. That, of course, is the CEO of Watermark. It's a private equity firm. It's Vusi Tembakwaya, talking to us about the Inspiration Project, which will launch this Saturday. Let us know what you think. It's an interesting conversation to have, isn't it? Morning live at sabc.co.za. We're taking an ad break.